The counter in my journal read 147 when I finally picked up the phone. 147 times my husband had put his hands on me in violence. 147 times I had chosen silence over safety. 147 beatings, and it took seeing his fists on our 5-year-old son's face for me to finally call 911. My name is Maya Johnson Whitmore, and I spent 6 years married to a man who said he loved me while his fists said something else. 6 years of being told that my black skin made me exotic and beautiful before those same words became weapons. 6 years of watching the man I loved transform into the monster who nearly killed me and our son. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start with number 1. The first time Marcus hit me, we were in Santorini. We'd been married for exactly 6 days. The wedding had been beautiful, an expensive affair in the Hamptons that his family paid for and mine could barely afford to attend. My mother had called it too much, but what she'd really meant was too white. My father had walked me down the aisle with a fixed smile that never reached his eyes. Marcus and I were staying in one of those clifftop villas with infinity pools overlooking the Aegean Sea. Everything was perfect. Postcard perfect. Instagram perfect. The kind of perfect that made you nervous because you knew it couldn't last. It didn't. We were getting ready for dinner when it happened. I'd spent an hour doing my makeup, trying to get it just right. Marcus had been watching me from the bed, drinking wine, his eyes tracking my every movement in that way I'd initially found flattering, but was starting to recognize as something else. "You're wearing that?" he said when I came out of the bathroom. I looked down at my dress, a simple black sundress I'd packed specifically for this trip. "What's wrong with it? It's a bit much, don't you think?" "Much how?" "Just, you're showing a lot of skin. I don't want other men staring at my wife." I felt the first flutter of unease. "It's a sundress, Marcus. It's hot outside. I'm just saying you could wear something more modest. I only packed 2 nice dresses. This one and the white one." "Then wear the white one." "The white one is for tomorrow night." His jaw tightened. "Then I guess you'll have to figure something else out." I stared at him, trying to understand when this became his decision. "Marcus, this is ridiculous. It's just a dress." "It's not about the dress, Maya. It's about respect. About not making me look like I can't control my own wife." The words hung in the air like poison. Control. His wife. As if I were property to be managed. "I'm wearing this dress," I said quietly. "If you have a problem with that, we can stay in." I turned back toward the bathroom. I didn't see him move. His hand caught my wrist and spun me around. Before I could react, his other hand connected with my face, an open palm slap that snapped my head to the side and made stars explode across my vision. I stood there, frozen, my cheek burning, unable to process what had just happened. Marcus looked as shocked as I felt. His hand was still raised, trembling slightly. "Maya, he stepped toward me. "I'm so sorry. I don't know what. You just made me so angry, and you hit me. It was an accident. I didn't mean to. You pushed me, and I pushed you by wanting to wear a dress. No, you pushed me by disrespecting me, by making me feel like my opinion doesn't matter." I touched my face. It was already swelling. "You hit me," I repeated, still not quite believing it. "And I'm sorry. God, Maya, I'm so sorry. That will never happen again. I swear. I love you so much, and the thought of other men looking at you makes me crazy. But that's not an excuse. I know that. Please, baby, please forgive me." He was crying, real tears streaming down his face, looking at me like his world was ending. And I, stupidly, naively, believed him when he said it would never happen again. "Okay," I whispered. "It's okay. It's not okay. I'm a piece of shit. I don't deserve you." "Marcus, stop. You made a mistake. We'll get past it." He pulled me into his arms, careful not to touch my injured face. "I love you so much. You're everything to me. I'll never hurt you again. I promise." I believed him. That was the first lie. Later that night, I stood in the bathroom and looked at my reflection. The bruise was already forming, a dark shadow across my brown cheekbone. I took a photo with my phone, then immediately deleted it, telling myself I was being paranoid. I didn't know then that I should have kept it. Should have kept all of them. That was number 1. I didn't start counting until much later. Until the beatings became so frequent that I needed a system to track them, to prove to myself that this was real, that I wasn't exaggerating or being dramatic. But I'm getting ahead of myself again. The first time Marcus brought up my skin color during a beating was 3 months into our marriage. We'd moved into his apartment in Manhattan, a sleek, modern space in a building where I was the only black woman in the elevator. The doorman learned my name slowly, always checking to make sure I belonged there, even after I showed them my key a dozen times. Marcus said I was being sensitive, that they were just doing their job, that I was seeing racism where there wasn't any. The beating happened because I'd bought the wrong kind of wine. He'd asked for a specific vintage of Cabernet. I'd gotten the year wrong. Such a small thing. Such a stupid, meaningless mistake. "This isn't what I asked for," he said, staring at the bottle. "I'm sorry. The store was out of the 2015. I got 2016. The clerk said it was actually better." Did I ask for the clerk's opinion? Or for yours? My stomach tightened. I knew that tone. "Marcus, it's just wine. It's not about the wine. It's about you not listening. About you thinking you know better than me. That's not." He slammed the bottle down on the counter hard enough that I flinched. "Do you know how hard I work? How much pressure I'm under at the firm? And I come home to this. To you fucking up the simplest task?" I said I'm sorry. "I'll go get the right one." "Oh, now you'll do what I asked? After I have to get angry about it." He crossed the kitchen in 2 strides, grabbed my arm hard enough to bruise. I could feel his fingers digging into the soft flesh, could already imagine the fingerprint marks they'd leave. "You need to start taking this seriously," he said, his face inches from mine. "Being my wife comes with responsibilities. Standards. You can't just half-ass everything and expect me to be okay with it." "I'm not half-assing." He shook me. Hard. My teeth rattled. "Don't talk back to me." Then he shoved me backward. I hit the edge of the counter, pain blooming across my lower back. "You know what your problem is?" he said, voice dripping with contempt. "You were raised without standards. Without discipline. That's what happens when—" He stopped himself, but I knew what he'd been about to say. "When what?" I asked quietly. "When you're black." His eyes flashed with something I couldn't quite read. "I didn't say that. But you were going to." "Don't put words in my mouth, Maya. I'm just saying your family didn't teach you the same values mine did. That's not about race. That's about class." But we both knew that wasn't true. We both knew that in Marcus's mind, those things were the same. "Get out," I said. "Excuse me." "Get out of the kitchen. Leave me alone." For a moment, I thought he might hit me again. His hand actually twitched, rising slightly before he forced it back down. "We'll talk about this later," he said coldly. "When you're ready to apologize." He left. I stayed in the kitchen, gripping the counter, feeling the pain in my back spread like fire. That night, I started the journal. Went back through my memory and documented every time his hands had found me in anger. Number 1, Santorini. Face. Slapped. Number 2, first week home. Shoulder. Grabbed and twisted. Number 3, argument about my hair. Pushed into wall. Number 4, came home late. Arm bruised. Number 5, forgot to pick up dry cleaning. Back of head. Pushed. Number 6, dinner not ready on time. Wrist. Twisted. Number 7, questioned his story about work. Face. Slapped again. Number 8, wrong wine. Arm and back. Shoved into counter. 8 times in 3 months. Once every 11 days on average. The number shocked me. Somehow, spread out over weeks, it had felt manageable. But seeing it written down, seeing the pattern, made it real in a way I couldn't ignore. I should have left then. Should have packed a bag and walked out. But I didn't. Because I'd already started believing the lie that women like me don't leave men like Marcus. That I was lucky to have him. That no one else would want me. That black girls don't get white knights. They get whatever man is willing to take them, and they should be grateful for it. I didn't know then that Marcus had been feeding me that lie deliberately. That he'd been breaking me down systematically, preparing me for what came next. I found out I was pregnant on a Thursday morning. I'd been feeling off for weeks. Nauseous, exhausted, emotional in ways that seemed out of proportion to what was happening. I convinced myself it was stress. That Marcus's escalating violence was just taking its toll. But when I missed my period for the 2nd month in a row, I couldn't ignore it anymore. The test showed positive immediately. 2 dark pink lines that changed everything. I sat on the bathroom floor for 20 minutes, staring at that stick, trying to decide how I felt. Scared, definitely. Uncertain. But underneath all of that, there was something else. Something that felt almost like hope. Maybe a baby would change things. Maybe becoming a father would soften Marcus. Maybe this was the thing that would make him stop. I know how that sounds now. I know it's the logic of someone who's been beaten into believing she deserves it. But hope is stubborn, even when it's misplaced. I told Marcus that night. Made his favorite dinner. Set the table with candles. Tried to create the perfect moment. His reaction was not what I expected. He stared at the pregnancy test I'd placed next to his plate. You're pregnant. Yes. About 2 months, I think. And you're sure it's mine? The question hit me like a physical blow. What? Of course it's yours. How can you even? How can I even what, Maya? Ask a reasonable question? Given how much you seem to enjoy male attention. This again. The phantom flirtations. The imaginary affairs. Marcus had spent months building this narrative, that I was always looking at other men, always seeking validation, always one step away from cheating. It didn't matter that I barely left the apartment without his permission, that I'd stopped seeing friends because he'd claimed they were bad influences, that my entire world had shrunk to this apartment and him. Marcus, I haven't been with anyone else. You know that. Do I? Yes. You're the only person I've slept with in the past year. The only person I've even talked to most days. He picked up the test, examining it like he was looking for proof of forgery. How convenient. Now that we're married, now that you've got access to my money, suddenly you're pregnant. This wasn't planned. I'm on birth control. This just happened. Birth control that's 99% effective, which means there's a 1% chance you're lying. I felt tears starting. Why are you doing this? I thought you wanted kids. I do. Someday. When I'm ready. Not when my wife decides to trap me. I didn't trap you. Didn't you? Funny how this happens right when I'm up for partner at the firm. Right when I'm about to make real money. Timing's pretty convenient, don't you think? I stood up from the table. I'm not having this conversation. You're being paranoid and cruel, and I don't deserve. He was out of his chair before I could finish the sentence. His hand caught my wrist, yanking me back. Don't walk away from me when I'm talking to you. Let go. You're hurting me. His other hand moved to my throat. Not squeezing. Not yet. Just resting there. A reminder of what he could do. Is it mine? He asked quietly. Yes. Swear on your mother's life. Marcus. His hand tightened. Swear it. I swear. On my mother's life. This baby is yours. He stared into my eyes for a long moment, searching for deception. Finally, he let go. Okay, he said. Okay. I believe you. I stumbled backward, touching my throat, trying to catch my breath. I'm sorry, he continued. I'm just stressed. The partner thing is making me crazy. But this is good news. We're going to have a baby. He smiled. Like nothing had happened. Like he hadn't just strangled me while accusing me of infidelity. Yeah, I managed. Good news. That night, I added number 23 to my journal, pregnancy announcement. Throat. Strangled. Accused me of cheating. I also added something new. A separate section labeled during pregnancy. I told myself I'd keep track. That if he hurt me while I was pregnant, that would be the line. That would be when I'd leave. I was naive enough to think there were lines Marcus wouldn't cross. The beatings didn't stop when I got pregnant. If anything, they got worse. Marcus seemed to resent the pregnancy. Resented my changing body, my morning sickness, my exhaustion. Resented that I couldn't drink at his work functions. Resented that I was too tired for sex some nights. Resented, most of all, that I wasn't entirely his anymore. That there was something growing inside me that would eventually demand my attention more than he did. Beating 31 happened because I threw up during dinner. We were at a restaurant with his colleagues. Some celebration for a case the firm had won. I'd been feeling queasy all day, but had forced myself to come because Marcus insisted. Halfway through the appetizer course, the nausea overwhelmed me. I excused myself to the bathroom, barely making it to a stall before I threw up everything I'd eaten that day. When I came back to the table, pale and shaking, Marcus's face was tight with anger. Are you okay? His colleague's wife asked kindly. Morning sickness, I managed. Sorry. I'll be fine. You should go home and rest, she suggested. Marcus can catch a cab later. No, Marcus said firmly. She's fine. Aren't you, honey? It wasn't a question. It was an order. Yes, I said quietly. I'm fine. I made it through the rest of dinner, though I could barely eat anything. Marcus's hand was on my knee under the table the whole time, squeezing hard enough to bruise whenever he thought I wasn't performing gratitude correctly. In the car home, he exploded. Do you have any idea how embarrassing that was? Leaving in the middle of dinner to throw up like some teenager who can't hold her liquor. Marcus, I'm pregnant. Morning sickness is normal. You could have excused yourself quietly. You didn't have to make a scene. I didn't make a scene. I went to the bathroom and came back looking like death. making everyone uncomfortable, making me look like I can't take care of my pregnant wife. We pulled into the garage. Marcus killed the engine but didn't move to get out. "I'm sorry," I said, because that's what I always said. I tried to hold it together. Not hard enough. He got out of the car. I followed, moving slowly because my body ached and my stomach was still rolling. Inside, he grabbed my arm and slammed me against the wall. The impact knocked the breath out of me. "You need to do better," he said, his face inches from mine. "I don't care if you're pregnant. I don't care if you feel sick. When we're in public, you act like you have some fucking dignity." "I'm trying." His fist drove into my stomach. Not hard enough to cause serious damage. He was too smart for that. Just hard enough to hurt. To remind me who was in control. I doubled over, gasping. "That's for embarrassing me," he said calmly. Then he stepped over me and went upstairs to bed. I stayed on the floor for a long time, one hand on my still flat stomach, praying that the baby was okay. Later, in the bathroom, I pulled out my journal. Number 31, restaurant. Stomach. Punched while pregnant. I underlined, while pregnant, 3 times. This was supposed to be my line. The thing that made me leave. But I didn't leave. Because I was starting to understand that lines didn't matter. That I could draw 100 lines and Marcus would cross every single one, and I would stay anyway. Because leaving required strength I didn't have. Resources I didn't have. A self I no longer recognized. So I stayed. And he kept hitting me. And our baby kept growing inside me, absorbing the violence I couldn't escape. When I was 4 months pregnant, Marcus started talking about the baby's skin color. Not casually. Not in passing. Obsessively. "What if the baby comes out dark?" he asked one night while we were watching TV. I looked up from my phone. "What? The baby? What if it has your skin tone instead of mine?" "Then it has my skin tone. Why does it matter?" "It doesn't. I'm just asking hypothetically." "It's not hypothetical, Marcus. We're having a baby. That baby will have whatever skin color it has. That's how genetics work." "I know how genetics work," he said irritably. "I'm just saying, most biracial kids are lighter. I'm hoping ours is too." The words hung in the air like smoke. "Hoping," I repeated. "You're hoping our baby is light-skinned. Don't make it sound like that. I just meant it would be easier. For the kid. Lighter skin means less discrimination, less." "Say what you really mean, Marcus. You're ashamed that your baby might be black." "That's not what I said. It's what you meant." He turned to face me fully. "You know what? Maybe I am. Maybe I'm worried that our kid is going to come out looking like." He stopped himself. But I heard the rest of the sentence anyway. "Looking like you. Looking too black. Looking like something he'd regret." "Get out," I said quietly. "Excuse me. Get out of this room. Now. This is my apartment, Maya. I'm not going anywhere." "Then I will." I started to stand. His hand shot out, grabbing my wrist and yanking me back down. "We're not done talking." "Yes, we are. Don't you walk away from me." I tried to pull free. He held on tighter, twisting my wrist until I cried out. "Marcus, you're hurting me. The baby. The baby is fine. You're being dramatic." He shoved me backward. I fell onto the couch, landing hard on my side. Pain shot through my back and ribs. "That's for being disrespectful," he said, "and for putting words in my mouth." Then he walked out, leaving me on the couch, crying, one hand protectively over my stomach. That night, I added to my journal, number 47, living room. Wrist twisted, shoved onto couch. For months pregnant. He's ashamed of our baby's skin. That last line was new. I'd started adding notes about his words, not just his fists. Because I was beginning to understand that the violence wasn't random. It had a pattern, a purpose. Marcus wasn't just hitting me because he was angry. He was hitting me because I was black. Because our baby would be black. Because my blackness was something he wanted to control and couldn't. The realization should have made me leave. Should have made me pack a bag and walk out the door. But I was 4 months pregnant with nowhere to go and no money of my own. Marcus controlled everything. The bank accounts, the apartment, my access to the outside world. I was trapped, and he knew it. So I stayed, and prayed our baby would survive what I couldn't escape. I lost the baby at 6 months. It happened on a Tuesday afternoon, 3 days after beating number 68. The beating itself had been over money. I'd used our credit card to buy maternity clothes without asking permission first. Marcus found the charge and lost his mind. $300 on clothes? He shouted. Without asking me. They're maternity clothes. I needed them. Nothing fits anymore. So you spend $300? Do you think money grows on trees? Marcus, you make 6 figures a year. $300 is nothing. The slap came so fast I didn't see it. Just felt the explosion of pain across my face, the ringing in my ears. Don't you dare tell me what's nothing, he snarled. It's my money. I decide how we spend it. It's supposed to be our money. We're married. He laughed, bitter and mean. Our money. Right. Like you contribute anything. You just sit around all day getting fat while I work. I'm pregnant. And whose fault is that? He grabbed my hair and yanked my head back. I could see the ceiling, could feel tears running down my temples into my hairline. This pregnancy has been nothing but a burden, he continued. You're useless. Can't work. Can't cook properly. Can't even fuck me without complaining your back hurts. Marcus, please. He released my hair and shoved me. Hard. I stumbled backward, off balance from the weight of my pregnant belly, and fell. I landed on my side, my hip and shoulder taking the brunt of the impact. The pain was immediate and sharp. Marcus stood over me. Get up. I can't. It hurts. Get up. I tried. Got halfway up before another wave of pain dropped me back down. Pathetic, he muttered. Then he stepped over me and left for work. I stayed on the floor for 20 minutes before I could finally stand. Everything hurt. My face, my hip, my back. But worse than the pain was the feeling in my stomach. A low, cramping sensation that I tried to tell myself was normal. It wasn't normal. 3 days later, I woke up bleeding. Heavy, dark blood soaking through my nightgown and the sheets. Marcus. I called, trying to stay calm. Marcus, something's wrong. He appeared in the bedroom doorway, already dressed for work. Saw the blood. Jesus Christ, Maya. What did you do? I didn't do anything. I just woke up, and I think something's wrong with the baby. He stood there for a moment, just staring at the blood. Then he said, I'll get the car. At the hospital, they did an ultrasound. The screen was turned away from me, but I could see the technician's face. Could see the moment she found what she was looking for and realized it wasn't moving. I'm sorry, she said quietly. There's no heartbeat. The rest happened in a blur. Doctors explaining about D&C procedures. Forms to sign. Options for what to do with the remains. Marcus sat beside me through all of it, holding my hand, crying quietly, playing the devastated father. I'm so sorry, baby, he whispered. I'm so sorry this happened. He didn't mention the fall. Didn't admit that his hands had caused this. Just sat there crying like it was some random tragedy, some cruel act of fate. But I knew. And he knew. He'd killed our baby. Shoved me hard enough to dislodge the life growing inside me. Shoved me, and then told me I was pathetic for not getting up fast enough. That night, in the hospital bed, I added to my journal, number 68, shoved. Fell. Miscarriage 3 days later. He killed our baby. And underneath it, in letters so large they took up half the page, I need to leave. But I didn't leave, because I was grieving and broken and too exhausted to fight. And Marcus was so sorry, so genuinely devastated. He brought me flowers, made me soup, held me while I cried. And I let him, because the abused part of me still believed that love and violence could coexist, that a man could kill your baby and still love you. I was so wrong. I got pregnant again 6 months after the miscarriage. I hadn't planned it, hadn't wanted it, but my body had other ideas. When I saw those 2 pink lines, I didn't feel hope this time. I felt dread. I waited 2 weeks to tell Marcus. Spent those 2 weeks trying to figure out what to do. Whether I should get an abortion, whether I should leave before he found out, whether I could survive another pregnancy with him. In the end, I didn't have to tell him. He found the test in the bathroom trash. You're pregnant again, he said, standing in the bedroom doorway. Yes. How far along? 6 weeks, maybe. He nodded slowly. We'll do better this time. I'll be more careful. I know last time was hard for both of us, but this time will be different. Will it? Yes. I promise. I won't let anything happen to this baby. Won't let anything happen. As if it had been someone else's fault. As if his fists hadn't caused the miscarriage. Okay. I said, because what else could I say? We should celebrate, he suggested. Go out to dinner. Somewhere nice. I'm tired, Marcus. Can we just stay in? His expression darkened slightly. I'm trying to do something nice for you. And you're already complaining? I'm not complaining. I'm just tired. You're always tired. You're always too something. Too tired, too sick, too sore. Maybe if you took better care of yourself. Stop, I said quietly. Please. I can't do this right now. He stared at me for a long moment. Then he said, "Fine. Stay in. I'll go celebrate without you." He left. Came back at 2 a.m. drunk and angry. Woke me up to tell me I was a selfish bitch who didn't appreciate anything he did for me. Then he climbed on top of me, despite my protests that I was tired, that I was pregnant, that I didn't want to. He didn't care. I added it to my journal later. Number 82. Came home drunk. Forced sex despite saying no. Pregnant again. Scared. The pregnancy was harder than the first. Constant nausea. Exhaustion that felt like drowning. Anxiety that made it hard to breathe. And through it all, Marcus's fists. Beating 87. Slapped because dinner was cold. Beating 93. Shoved into the refrigerator because I didn't answer my phone fast enough. Beating 99. Punched in the arm because I spent too long talking to the mailman. Each one carefully placed. Never the stomach. Never anywhere that might obviously endanger the pregnancy. Marcus had learned from last time. He knew where he could hit me without leaving evidence on the baby. But the stress took its toll anyway. I was constantly tense, constantly afraid, constantly waiting for his next explosion. At 7 months, the baby stopped moving as much. The doctor said it was probably normal, just the baby running out of room. But I knew better. I knew my baby could feel my fear, could feel the cortisol flooding my system every time Marcus raised his voice, could feel, somehow, that its father was a monster and its mother was too weak to escape. Our son was born on a Friday morning in February. I'd gone into labor the night before. Painful contractions that Marcus initially insisted were false labor. He didn't take me to the hospital until my water broke all over our bedroom floor. "Jesus Christ, Maya," he'd muttered, staring at the mess. "Could you not control yourself?" I was too focused on breathing through contractions to respond. Labor was long and brutal. 18 hours of pain that felt like my body was trying to tear itself apart. Marcus sat in the corner of the room, scrolling through his phone, occasionally looking up to ask how much longer it would take. When our son finally emerged, small and perfect and screaming, the nurse placed him on my chest. "Congratulations," she said warmly. "You have a beautiful baby boy." I looked down at my son and felt my heart break and heal simultaneously. He was perfect. Absolutely perfect. 10 tiny fingers and 10 tiny toes. Eyes squeezed shut against the bright lights. Skin the exact warm brown of my own. Dark skin. Unmistakably black skin. I looked up at Marcus. Watched his face as he saw our son for the first time. Watched the moment he registered the baby's skin color. His expression didn't change much. Just a slight tightening around his eyes. A barely perceptible downward turn of his mouth. But I saw it. Saw the disappointment. The confirmation of his worst fear. Our son looked like me. "What are we naming him?" the nurse asked. "Elijah," I said, before Marcus could suggest one of the white-sounding names he'd been pushing for months. "Elijah James." Marcus didn't argue, just nodded. "Elijah James Whitmore. Not Johnson Whitmore. Just Whitmore." Erasing half of our son's heritage with a single omission. The nurse took Elijah to be cleaned and measured. I watched Marcus watch our son, and I knew, with a certainty that made my blood run cold, that this was going to be bad. Marcus didn't want a black son. Didn't want to see his own face mixed with features he'd been taught to see as inferior. Our baby was 3 hours old, and already I knew I'd have to protect him from his own father. Elijah was 2 months old the first time Marcus hit him. It happened during a diaper change. Elijah was crying. That inconsolable newborn cry that feels like it drills directly into your brain. I was in the kitchen making a bottle. Marcus was supposed to be changing him. I heard the crying suddenly cut off. Then silence. I ran to the nursery. Marcus was standing over the changing table, his hand still raised. Elijah was screaming again, his face red, a dark mark already forming on his tiny cheek. "What did you do?" I screamed, pushing Marcus aside and scooping up our son. He wouldn't stop crying. I just wanted him to be quiet. "So you hit him?" "You hit a 2-month-old baby." "I didn't hit him. I tapped him." "There's a difference." I examined Elijah's face. The mark was already darkening into a bruise. On his brown skin, it would show for days. "Get out," I said, my voice shaking. "Get out of this room right now. Maya, get out." He left. I sat in the rocking chair, holding Elijah, crying into his soft hair. This was it. This was the line. He'd crossed it. He'd put his hands on our baby. I was going to leave. Had to leave. Had to protect my son. But when I tried to stand, Tried to imagine packing a bag and walking out the door with a 2-month-old baby and nowhere to go. My legs wouldn't work. I had no money, no car in my name, no family who could help. Marcus had systematically cut me off from all of them, convinced me they were toxic, that I was better off without them. I had nothing but a bruised baby and a journal full of my own beatings. So I didn't leave. I added it to the journal instead. Number 112, Elijah. Face, 2 months old. First time hitting our son. And I started a new section, Elijah's beatings. I told myself I was documenting, building evidence, that someday I'd use all of this to get away. But really, I was just counting, keeping score of the ways we were both being destroyed. As Elijah got older, Marcus's resentment of his skin color became more explicit. He'd make comments, little jokes, things he'd claim were harmless, but that landed like knives. Looks like he got all of mommy's melanin, he'd say to friends, laughing. Hope he doesn't get too dark in the summer. Don't want people asking questions. At least he has my nose. Thank God for small favors. Beating 128 happened because I finally snapped and called him out. Elijah was 8 months old. We were at a family gathering, Marcus's family. His mother was cooing over Elijah, but even her compliments had an edge. Such beautiful eyes, she said. At least he got those from our side. As if Elijah's black features were defects to be balanced out by white ones. I was used to biting my tongue, used to letting these comments slide, because making a scene would only make things worse later. But when Marcus picked up Elijah and said, loudly enough for everyone to hear, "Yeah, he's a cute kid," even with the permanent tan, something inside me broke. "Don't talk about our son like that," I said. The room went quiet. Marcus turned to me, smile frozen on his face. "What? Don't make jokes about his skin color. He's 8 months old. He doesn't deserve that." "Maya, I was just joking. It's not funny. It's racist. And I won't let you do it to him." His mother gasped. "Racist? How dare you accuse my son?" "I'm not accusing. I'm stating a fact. Making fun of a black child's skin color is racist. Even if it's your own child." Marcus's face had gone very still, very cold. "We'll discuss this at home." "No. We'll discuss it now. I want you to apologize to Elijah. He's a baby. He doesn't understand. Apologize, or I'm taking him and leaving." It was an empty threat. We both knew it. I had no car, no way to get home except with Marcus. But I made it anyway, because I was tired of being silent. Tired of letting him normalize the hatred of our son's blackness. "Fine," Marcus said, voice tight. "I'm sorry, Elijah. Daddy was making a bad joke." Then, to his mother, "We're leaving. Maya's not feeling well." The car ride home was silent. Elijah had fallen asleep in his car seat. I stared out the window, waiting for the explosion I knew was coming. It came the moment we got inside. Marcus grabbed my arm and slammed me against the wall, careful not to wake the baby sleeping in the carrier I'd set by the door. "How dare you embarrass me like that?" he hissed. "In front of my mother. In front of my whole family. You were being racist to our son." His hand moved to my throat. "I was making a joke. You're the one who made it about race. It is about race. You resent Elijah for being black. You resent me for it. And now you're taking it out on our baby." His hand tightened. "Our baby wouldn't have this problem if you weren't so fucking sensitive about everything." I couldn't breathe, couldn't speak, just clawed at his hand, trying to get air. He held on for another 5 seconds, long enough for spots to dance across my vision. Then he let go. "That's for making me look like a racist," he said calmly. Then he walked away, leaving me gasping against the wall, one eye on Elijah to make sure he was still sleeping. That night, I added to my journal, number 128, throat. Strangled. Defended Elijah's skin color. Marcus called it permanent tan. I can't protect him. That last line broke me. Because it was true. I couldn't protect my son. Could barely protect myself. Elijah was growing up in a house where his father hated half of who he was. Where his skin color was treated as a defect. Where love came with conditions that he'd never be able to meet. I had to get out. Had to find a way. But how? The beatings escalated when Elijah became a toddler. 2-year-olds are loud. Demanding. Impossible to control completely. And Marcus hated anything he couldn't control. Especially when that thing had black skin. Beating 139 happened because Elijah was crying at bedtime. Normal toddler crying. The kind every parent deals with. But Marcus had been drinking, and his patience, never substantial to begin with, was non-existent. "Make him stop," he said, standing in the living room while I tried to soothe Elijah in the nursery. I'm trying. He's overtired. I don't care. Make him shut up. Marcus, he's 2. He doesn't understand. I said make him stop. Elijah, sensing the tension, cried harder. Marcus appeared in the nursery doorway. Give him to me. No. Give him to me. Marcus, you're drunk. Just go to bed. I'll handle this. He crossed the room in 2 strides. Grabbed Elijah from my arms. Elijah screamed, reaching for me. See, Marcus said. He's fine. He just needs to learn who's boss. He carried Elijah to the crib. Put him down roughly. When Elijah tried to stand up, Marcus pushed him back down. Lie down and go to sleep. Elijah cried harder, standing up again. Marcus pushed him down again. Harder this time. Hard enough that Elijah's head hit the crib mattress with a thud that made me gasp. Marcus, stop. He needs to learn. He's 2 years old, and he's already spoiled rotten because you baby him. Elijah was hysterical now, screaming and reaching for me. I tried to move toward the crib, but Marcus blocked me. Let him cry it out. Please, just let me comfort him. No, you're the reason he's like this. Always picking him up, always coddling him. He needs to learn that crying doesn't get him what he wants. We stood there for 10 minutes. Me begging to comfort my son. Marcus refusing. Elijah screaming himself hoarse. Finally, Marcus relented. Fine, take him. But I'm done with this shit. He stormed out of the nursery. I lifted Elijah from the crib. He was shaking, tears streaming down his face, hiccuping from crying so hard. It's okay, baby, I whispered. Mama's here. You're safe. But he wasn't safe. Neither of us were. Later, after Elijah finally fell asleep, I examined him carefully. No visible injuries this time. But I knew the damage wasn't always visible. That night I wrote, number 139, nursery. Elijah pushed down in crib. Head hit mattress. Forced to listen to him scream. Can't protect him. Can't protect myself. Need help. I was running out of pages in my journal. Running out of space to document the violence. Running out of time before one of us didn't survive. Number 147 happened on a Sunday morning. Elijah was 2.5. Old enough to talk, to express opinions, to have a personality. Old enough to make Marcus angry just by existing. We were in the kitchen. I was making breakfast. Elijah was playing with blocks on the floor, babbling to himself in that happy toddler way. Marcus walked in, already in a bad mood about something work-related. Can he be quiet? He said. I'm trying to think. He's just playing Marcus. He's not that loud. I said I need quiet. Elijah, oblivious, continued his playing and babbling. Elijah, honey, let's play the quiet game, okay? I said gently. Elijah looked up at me, confused. Why, Mama? Because Daddy needs to think. But I'm building. I know, baby. You can build quietly. I said shut him up, Marcus growled. Before I could respond, he crossed to where Elijah was playing and kicked the blocks, scattering them across the kitchen. Elijah's face crumpled. Daddy, my tower. Your tower was too loud. Wasn't loud. Marcus grabbed Elijah's arm, jerked him to his feet. Don't talk back to me. Marcus, let him go. He needs to learn respect. He's 2 years old. Elijah was crying now, trying to pull away. Marcus held on, his fingers digging into our son's small brown arm. And then I saw it. The bruises on Elijah's arm from the last time Marcus had grabbed him too hard. 5 small fingerprint bruises, dark against his skin. The same fingerprint bruises I'd been documenting on my own body for years. Something in me snapped. I crossed the kitchen, grabbed Marcus's wrist, and yanked his hand off our son. Don't you ever touch him again, I said, voice shaking with rage. Marcus's eyes widened in surprise, then narrowed in fury. What did you just say to me? I said don't touch him. I don't care what you do to me anymore, but you will not hurt my son. Your son? He's my son too. Then act like it. Stop hitting him. Stop hating him for being black. Stop taking out your racist bullshit on a toddler who didn't ask to be born. Marcus's fist connected with my face before I saw it coming. I went down hard, stars exploding across my vision. Tasted blood. Heard Elijah screaming. Mama! Mama! I tried to get up. Marcus kicked me in the ribs. Once. Twice. Pain bloomed across my side like fire. You don't tell me what to do with my son, he said, each word punctuated with another kick. You don't tell me how to discipline him. You don't tell me anything. Through the pain, I could hear Elijah crying, screaming for me. I had to get up. Had to protect him. Had to. Marcus's foot caught me in the stomach. I curled into a ball, trying to protect my vital organs. Pathetic, he spat. Just like him. Weak. Crying. Black. He said it like a slur. Like being black was the worst thing either of us could be. That's when I knew. Really knew. In a way I'd been denying for years. Marcus didn't just hit us because he was angry. He hit us because we were black. Because our existence reminded him that he'd married and procreated with someone he'd been taught to see as inferior. He hated himself for loving me. And he hated Elijah for being the permanent proof of that love. We weren't family to him. We were mistakes he was trying to beat into submission. Through the pain, I heard Elijah's screaming getting closer. Felt his small hands on my arm. Mama, wake up. Mama. I opened my eyes. Looked at my son's face. Saw the terror there. Saw him trying to protect me the way I'd failed to protect him. Saw Marcus reaching for him again. No, I gasped. Run, Elijah. Run to your room and lock the door. But Mama. Run. He ran. I heard his little feet pattering down the hall. Heard his bedroom door slam. Heard the lock click. Marcus stood over me, breathing hard. Look what you made me do. I didn't respond. Just focused on breathing. On getting air back into my lungs. On staying conscious. I'm going out, Marcus said. When I get back, you better have cleaned up this mess. And you better have an apology ready. He stepped over me and left. The moment I heard his car pull away, I dragged myself to my feet. Every movement was agony. My ribs screamed. My face throbbed. My stomach cramped. But I moved. Got to Elijah's room. Knocked on the door. Baby, it's Mama. Open the door. The lock clicked. The door opened a crack. Elijah's tear-stained face appeared. Mama okay? Mama's okay. Come here, sweetheart. He ran into my arms. I held him, feeling his small body shake with sobs. Daddy hurt you, he whispered. I know, baby. Daddy hurt me too sometimes. My heart shattered. I know. I'm so sorry. Mama should have protected you better. Why does Daddy hurt us? I didn't have an answer. Couldn't explain racism and self-hatred and violence to a 2-year-old. Couldn't make him understand why his own father hated the color of his skin. I don't know, baby. But it's not your fault. And it's not because of anything you did. You're perfect. You're so perfect. He pulled back, looking at my face. His small hand reached up to touch the bruise I could feel forming. Owie. Yeah. Big Owie. Kiss it better? He pressed his lips gently to my cheek. The sweetest, most heartbreaking kiss I'd ever received. In that moment, looking at my beautiful, damaged son trying to heal his broken mother, I knew what I had to do. I limped to my hiding spot, got out my journal, turned to the last page. Number 147. Kitchen. Face, ribs, stomach. Kicked while on ground. Elijah watched. Tried to protect me. This is the last one. I'm calling for help. Then I got out my phone, the secret one Marcus didn't know about, and I dialed 911. 911. What's your emergency? I was shaking so hard I could barely hold the phone. Elijah was in my lap, his arms wrapped around my neck. My husband beat me, I said, and he hits our son. I need help. Are you in immediate danger, ma'am? No. He left, but he'll come back. And when he does, my voice broke. When he does, he might kill me. Or Elijah. I can't. I need help. Please. Okay, ma'am. Stay calm. I'm sending officers to your location now. Are you injured? Yes. Ribs. Face. Stomach. But my son, he has bruises too. From previous times. Please, you have to document it. All of it. So he can't say I'm lying. Officers are on their way. Can you get somewhere safe? Lock yourself in a room. We're in my son's room. The door is locked. Good. Stay there until the officers arrive. Can you tell me your name? Maya. Maya Johnson Whitmore. And my son is Elijah. He's 2.5. And I need someone to take pictures of his bruises. I need proof. The officers will document everything when they arrive. How long ago did your husband leave? 10 minutes. Maybe 15. I don't know. I couldn't move for a while. That's okay. You're doing great, Maya. Help is coming. I heard sirens in the distance. Getting closer. He's going to be so angry, I whispered. When he finds out I called. He's going to. The officers won't let him hurt you. They'll make sure you and your son are safe. The sirens were on my street now. I heard car doors slamming. They're here, the dispatcher said. Can you go let them in? I'm scared. I know. But they're here to help. You did the right thing by calling. I carried Elijah to the front door. Opened it to find 3 officers standing on my porch. "Ma'am, I'm Officer Rodriguez," the first one said. "Are you Maya Johnson Whitmore?" "Yes." He took in my face. The bruises already forming. The blood from my split lip. "May we come in?" I stepped aside, still holding Elijah. The next hour was a blur. Photographs of my injuries. Photographs of Elijah's bruises. My statement. The medical examination by paramedics who arrived soon after the police. An officer searching the house, finding my journal, asking if they could take it as evidence. "There are 147 entries," I told him. 147 times he hit me. And multiple entries about our son. "It's all documented. This will help your case tremendously," Officer Rodriguez said gently. "I know this is hard, but you did the right thing. Both of you will be safer now." "Where do we go?" I asked. "We can't stay here. We have a domestic violence shelter that can take you tonight. After that, we'll help you figure out next steps." A female officer knelt down to Elijah's level. "Hi, sweetheart. My name is Officer Martinez. You were very brave today." Elijah hid his face in my shoulder. "It's okay," I told him. "These are the good police. They're going to help us be safe." "Safe from Daddy?" The officers exchanged glances. "Yes, baby. Safe from Daddy." The restraining order was granted the day after I called 911. Marcus was arrested when he came home and found police waiting. He was charged with multiple counts of domestic violence, assault, and child abuse. My journal, all 147 entries plus the documentation of Elijah's abuse, was submitted as evidence. The photographs told the rest of the story. Marcus's lawyer tried to argue that I was exaggerating, that the journal was fabricated, that I was a vindictive wife making false accusations. But you can't fake fingerprint bruises. Can't fake a 2-year-old's testimony about when Daddy gets mad. Can't explain away 147 documented incidents spanning multiple years. The prosecution offered Marcus a plea deal. 5 years in prison, mandatory anger management and therapy, permanent restraining order, supervised visitation with Elijah only after completing a batterer's intervention program. He took it, because the alternative was going to trial and likely getting more time. The divorce was finalized 3 months later. I got full custody of Elijah. Marcus got nothing. No property, no custody, just the requirement to pay child support from prison. His family tried to fight it. Tried to argue that I was keeping their grandchild from them. But the photos of Elijah's bruises shut that down quickly. I moved to Baltimore. Far from Westchester. Far from Marcus. Far from the life I'd spent 6 years trying to survive. I got a job at a domestic violence nonprofit. Used my story to help other women escape. Became the person I'd needed 6 years ago. Elijah started therapy. A wonderful child psychologist who specialized in trauma. Who helped him understand that what Daddy did wasn't his fault. That Mama leaving wasn't because he was bad. That being black wasn't something to be ashamed of. I watched my son slowly heal. Slowly learn to smile without flinching. Slowly start to trust that people could be safe. And I healed too. In therapy, I processed the violence. The racism. The ways Marcus had weaponized my blackness against me and our son. I learned that what happened to me happens to thousands of black women. That we face unique barriers when escaping abuse. Higher rates of violence, lower rates of being believed, racist systems that fail to protect us. I learned that my story wasn't unusual, but I also learned that survival was possible. I learned to stop counting. The journal is sealed now. Evidence in a criminal case. I don't need it anymore. I know what happened. My body remembers. Elijah remembers. But we're not defined by it. We're defined by what came after. By the call I finally made. By the 147 beatings I survived. By the son I saved. By the woman I became when I stopped being Marcus's victim and started being Maya Johnson again. Last week, a black woman came to the shelter where I work. 26 years old. Married for 3 years. Bruises on her arms she tried to hide with long sleeves. "My husband says I make him angry," she whispered. "Says if I was just more, if I could just be what he needs, it wouldn't happen." I recognized that logic. The twisted reasoning that makes you believe your own abuse is your fault. "What color is he?" I asked gently. She looked surprised. "White." "What? And does he make comments about your skin? About your hair? About wanting lighter kids?" Her eyes filled with tears. "How did you know?" "Because I lived it. And I survived it. And you can too." I told her my story. Showed her the scars that had faded but never disappeared. Introduced her to Elijah, now 3 years old, thriving and happy and safe. You counted yours, she said, looking at my intake form where I'd written 147 beatings. I did. But you don't have to. You can leave after 1. After 0. Before it even starts. I'm scared. I know. I was terrified. But being scared is better than being dead. And if you stay, eventually, one of those beatings will be the last one because he'll kill you. She nodded slowly. What do? You make a plan. And then you execute it. And you don't look back. She stayed at the shelter that night. Filed for a restraining order the next day. Started the process of reclaiming her life. Just like I did. Just like thousands of women do every year. We survive. And then we help others survive. Because that's what we do. We count the beatings until we can't count anymore. We document the violence until we have enough evidence to escape. We protect our children even when we can't protect ourselves. And eventually, if we're lucky, we stop counting and start living. My name is Maya Johnson. I survived 147 beatings. And I'm never going back. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-7233. Text START to 88788. Thehotline.org. For Black women specifically. Institute on Domestic Violence in the African American Community. IDVAC.org. You deserve safety. You deserve dignity. You deserve to be free. The abuse is not your fault. You are not alone. Help is available.